Here are the strangest radio contests that actually happened. Number 6, hold your wee for a wee. How cute. Radio stations are so punny, aren't they? Hold your wee for a wee was a radio contest back in 2007 that prompted contestants to chug a whole bunch of water without going for a piss. This brilliant idea comes to you courtesy of KDND in Sacramento. Unfortunately, because of a horrific lack of judgment on the radio host, it resulted in the death of 28-year-old Jennifer Strange. The contest was during a morning show called The Morning Rave. The contest involved giving people 8-ounce bottles of water to drink at 15-minute intervals. Once a person caved and went to use the bathroom, they were out. The last person standing would win a Nintendo Wii. In case you didn't know, chugging water without electrolytes is an extremely dangerous thing to do. Without adequate electrolytes, your body becomes overhydrated and the cells in your body swell. And this includes your brain cells. I'm not going to go too deep into the science here. All you need to know is that death from drinking too much water is possible. Hours after completing this badly set up contest, Jennifer Strange left work and went home, as she had complained to her coworker that her head hurt. The coworker then called Jennifer's mom, who went to Jennifer's house an hour later since she was worried about her daughter's safety. When she arrived, she found Jennifer dead in the bathroom from water intoxication. The really messed up part is that the on-air DJs who egged on the contestants to chug water were, well, aware of the dangers involved. The Sacramento Bee actually got their hands on some audio from the show and released them to the public. At one point, the DJs claimed they knew of similar contests where people had died from water intoxication, but joked that they didn't care because the contestants had signed waivers and couldn't sue. Seriously, how can people like this call themselves human beings? Strange's lawyer charged that even after getting phone calls, including a call in from a nurse, the DJs didn't pass along information about the dangers of drinking too much water to any of the contestants. Instead, listen to this. Supposedly, midway through the contest, the amount of water given to the participants was doubled. Come on. Were these hosts dropped on their heads when they were babies? Where's the common sense and basic human decency? Ultimately, 10 employees were fired, including the 3 idiotic hosts of the show. The radio station was sued in a wrongful death suit. Strange's husband and 3 kids were awarded more than $16 million by Entercom Sacramento. The DJs, Steve Maney, Lucas Cox, and Trish Sweet, all somehow were able to find radio work in other markets. I'm still trying to figure out how they weren't banned from the industry. Number 5, Howard Stern shenanigans. Howard Stern has been a pretty controversial dude ever since he broke onto the radio scene in the early 80s. Not coincidentally, he's also had one of the most successful radio programs in the world, with up to 20 million listeners on any given morning and amassing a huge fortune worth around $600 million. Think about the 20 million listeners for the next little bit while we detail some of his most bizarre on-air contests. For a guy who racked up more than $2.5 million in FCC fines, well, the stations that broadcast the show anyway, it's not at all surprising that he's facilitated some pretty bizarre and at times obscene on-air promotions. This is the guy who brought us the Bathroom Olympics and an array of Jeopardy satires such as Black Jeopardy, Homeless Jeopardy, and Penthouse Jeopardy. There was also the Small Penis Contest, which was a contest where some guys measured their dick and whoever had the smallest won. Just wow. And let's not forget the Get My Grandpa Laid contest. The winner of that weird contest was 86-year-old Johnny Orris, who actually passed away before he could collect his prize. Okay, this last contest has a bit more of a story to it. Orris's grandson, Ed, took part in Stern's competition, which had 3 other sets of grandfathers and grandsons competing. Ed and his grandfather won, which earned Grandpa Orris a free pass to the Bunny Ranch in Nevada, where prostitution is still legal. Mr. Orris made plans to have a threesome with a couple of these girls, but choked to death while eating steak at a nearby restaurant. Orris, a retired farmer from Illinois, lost his wife 11 years before winning this contest, and according to his grandson, he was understandably ecstatic for his chance to collect on his prize. The promotion was held back in October of 2013, which quite appropriately was around the same time Johnny Knoxville's Bad Grandpa was coming in. The really weird part was that Ed was granted a free night in the brothel as some sort of odd condolence. Love him or hate him, you really can't deny Stern's ingenuity or depravity, depending on the contest. In some cases, even he himself knows it. Hence, the name of this contest, It's Just Wrong. In this outrageous segment, people do things that by most metrics are just wrong. Like a team of mothers and daughters stripping nude. Well, if the ratings of the Howard Stern show are any indication, there's a pretty high demand for these sort of antics. Number 4, Breast Summer Ever. In a contest known as the Breast Summer Ever, one Canadian radio station organized a contest where listeners could win breast implants. The puns never stop, do they? The AMP radio program in Calgary asked listeners to send in pictures of themselves along with reasons why they wanted breast implants to enhance their lives. A panel of judges would narrow down the field to 10 finalists who they felt most deserved the breast augmentation, an operation that can get pretty expensive, of course. The public would vote on who out of the 10 finalists would be the winner. The final 10 were posted on the station's website by first name only. Among the hundreds of applicants were women who weren't satisfied with their figures and breast cancer survivors. The contest wasn't even close. The winner was a transgendered musician with the first name Avery, who received about 76% of the vote. Avery was in the process of transitioning to a woman and claimed she couldn't afford the breast implants on her own. Of course, a contest which gave away a free breast augmentation that had a transgender person winning didn't happen without backlash from the public. Someone vandalized the station, accusing them of being sexist. I mean, the fact that the person who won free implants who used to be a dude is sort of the opposite of being sexist, wouldn't you say? The station managers acknowledged that while the contest was done in poor taste, they pointed out that it still had the potential to help people since some of the participants were breast cancer survivors. In the case of Avery, she claimed it would help her overcome the daily bigotry she was facing. Her argument was compelling enough to propel her to a landslide victory, and the parent company decided to keep rolling with the Breast Summer Ever contest. Hey, I'd say Avery won it fair and square. If 76% of those who voted wanted her to win, then those boobs should be hers. Number 3, 100 grand richer. In 2005, Narisha Gill spent more than 2 hours listening to station WLTO Hot 102.5 in Lexington, Kentucky in order to win 100 grand. That seems more or less reasonable, right? After all, $100,000 is a good chunk of cash. Well, before taxes anyway. After listening for hours to be the 10th caller at a specific time, she was pretty stoked when she won. However, there's a little misunderstanding here. Well, misunderstanding on Gill's part. Or maybe it's really ambiguity. Maybe the radio host tried really hard to let on that it wasn't going to be the 100 grand cash that most people would think of, and she just wasn't able to decipher that joke. Instead of being presented with a 6-figure check, she was instead awarded a 100 grand candy bar. You guys ever had one? If you've never had one, it's a chocolate bar with caramel and crispy rice. It's actually really good. And I don't even really like candy bars. Anyways, obviously Gill was absolutely furious. She decided to sue the station even after the station manager tried to give her $5,000. She claimed she wanted the full $100,000. Nobody would listen for 2 hours for a candy bar, she said. Yeah, she's probably right. WLTO later fired DJ Slick, the apparent mastermind behind the deceptive promo, who wasn't even the first person to pull this devious stunt. Opie and Anthony did the same thing in the early 90s, though they're better known for different reasons. I can't find any information on what the resolution was, but if any of you guys know, be sure to let me know in the comments. Number 2, just a mini tattoo. What would you do to win a car? A brand new car that you actually liked. I mean, think about it. The upside to winning a new car should be pretty obvious. You have a new car with that new car smell, and you can use it to cruise around. Although, if it were me, I'd sell the new car, pay the taxes on the winnings, and then use that money to buy another car if I really needed a car. But then again, that's just me. Anyways, what I'm really getting at is that we all have our limits on what we would do for a new car. And I'm gonna guess Andreas Muller does too, although it's scary to think about what his limits are given what he had to do to win a Mini Cooper. Back in 2011, the German native agreed to have the word Mini tattooed onto his dick. Now, if you have any tattoos, you know that depending on the area, tattoos can get really painful. I personally haven't asked about getting that special area of mine done, but I'm just gonna go ahead and place a bet that it's sensitive. One thing I do know for sure though, the man clearly wanted a Mini Cooper. Andreas now has a Mini Cooper and a great reason to pull little Andreas out of his pants whenever he wants for the rest of his life. So I guess that's another plus. There were a lot of crazy stunts put forward by listeners, but Andreas won by a short head, said one of the competition's organizers. I see what you did there. The tattoo was done live on the radio so listeners could hear Andreas suffer. According to him, it was all worth it. He said, quote, "Once I'm sitting in the car, it won't matter anymore. Then the pain will be gone and I'll be all right." Well, I guess if you're okay with the word mini tattooed on your then it's well worth it. Although, I'm guessing the contest rules didn't say anything about not having it lasered off. But then again, yeah, I bet laser hurts more. Number 1. Drink urine for concert tickets. How much do people love Motley Crue? Well, apparently, people loved Motley Crue enough to subject themselves to drinking other people's piss in exchange for tickets to one of their concerts. At least, that's exactly what happened at KOMP in Las Vegas, because, after all, my town, Las Vegas, is pretty much the world's capital of people doing crazy. Back in 1999, the station was giving away tickets for a Motley Crue concert and decided to really go over the top. Greg McFarlane, the on-air DJ at the station, was trying to think of a really crazy contest he could come up with to give the tickets away. Somehow, maybe because he was hanging out with R. Kelly at the station, he came up with the idea to piss in a cup and have someone drink it in exchange for tickets. 4 people showed up, and 3 of them wisely backed out at the last minute. There was one really dedicated fan, however, who apparently had the piss in a cup go down like a shot of tequila, along with whatever dignity he had left. Hopefully he got to see his favorite band live, and there wasn't a 100 grand situation here like earlier. I'm gonna just assume Motley Crue is his favorite band, because if he likes any other bands more, I don't even want to think about what he'd do for those tickets. Anyway, McFarlane was apparently fired for this stunt. Maybe, in hindsight, the whole contest was done in poor taste. Yes, pun intended. Here's what's next. In 2002, when 19-year-old Michael Carroll won the UK National Lottery, he garnered something of a celebrity status. Carroll won close to £10 million, or just over $14 million US dollars. His antics garnered him nicknames such as the Lotto Lout or the King of Chav.